All right, guys, on this episode of Top Tier Tips, I'm going to elaborate a little bit on the programming that you guys have been doing and the why and how that it works. So the first thing I want to talk about is that the programming is servicing you guys as members of Top Tier Columbia. And how do I know that? How did I come to these decisions? Well, if you remember a few months back, I put out a Facebook poll asking people to vote on their goals and their priority goals. I also asked a cross-section of the population to give me constructive criticism and the things that they enjoy in the gym and like about our business. So I ended up accumulating somewhere around 50 to 60 testimonials, and I ended up having about 120, I believe, data points on goals. On this board here, wrote down a few things for you guys, and here are some facts from the poll that I released on Facebook where I got feedback from around 120 members of this gym. These are regular members. About 85% of those gym members, all right, they actually voted that their number one priority is to look good naked, to be healthy, to feel strong, to live the life that they want to live outside of the gym. All right, so there was only about 10 to 15% of those that voted that actually said their priority was performance and competition in something. All right, so the overwhelming majority wants to generally be fit, generally be strong, generally be healthy, and their second voted goal was to be good in something, performance related, like good in CrossFit as a local recreational sport, or good in Olympic weightlifting at local weightlifting meets, Spartan races, 5Ks, things of that nature. All right, those were secondary performance goals of these same people. So the current programming essentially is servicing the majority of the people in the gym. That means that the majority of the people in the gym want to build strength, they want to have mobility to be in good positions and not feel tight and be able to move around well. They want to have well-developed muscles, and they want to lower their body fat. Right? The 10 to 15% of the people who voted that actually have their priority as performance goals, who want to compete in CrossFit, maybe go into regionals at CrossFit, or want to compete at a higher level in weightlifting. I see a lot of those people doing their own separate things and their own special programming, and get very, very irregular coaching and feedback from people and qualified coaches. That is a problem. So I'm not saying you got to get my help with that, but if you are not in a regularly coached class, if you are not regularly getting eyes on you and getting feedback about sort of how your life circumstances fit into your overall programming, doing all this extra special stuff on the side is just going to lead to you generally doing a whole lot of work just for work's sake, and you may end up getting injured, you may get burnt out. The 10 to 15% of people who voted that they want a high level of performance and that's their priority, really your combination of choices should be participation in regularly coached group classes and having some individual programming homework on the side to address your individual weaknesses, and those things should change kind of gradually year round. But the overwhelming amount of your time should be in a group coach class. All right, programming in and of itself is a very, very tiny fraction of your long-term progress. All right, so generally the layout for the overwhelming majority of people who are in this gym in Top Tier Columbia, the current programming is this. On Monday, we do max effort work, meaning we max out somehow. We do a 1 rep max, 3 rep max, 5 rep max of 2 or 3 lower body dominant lifts, and then we do a short WOD. Short meaning something in the order of like 10 to maybe 15 minutes of time, sometimes even shorter, like Fran, for example, was more like 5-6 minutes for a lot of people. On Tuesday, we have max effort upper body, All right, so again, we're doing testing on Monday and Tuesday. And if you'll notice as the programming kind of cycles around over the course of 2 or 3 months, you're going to notice that the tested lifts show up every 3 or 4 weeks. Why? Because it takes that long for the adaptations to occur for you to actually break your old numbers. And it also keeps motivation high, so that every time you come back and do a 1 rep max back squat, for example, if you're regularly participating in the programming and generally keeping yourself healthy, you should hit new PRs every time you come back and do a 1 rep max back squat. If you were to do the 1 rep max back squat, say every week or two, you would not see progress. So it's exciting on these Mondays and Tuesdays for a lot of people as the months go on. When they repeat their lifts, it's going to be very encouraging because they're going to see immediate progress, right? They squatted 200 pounds the first time and now they're squatting 220 6 weeks later, and it's exciting, right? The short WODs are there because we want right now, in the way where the programming is in sort of the yearly cycle, the off season of CrossFit in particular, we want the short WODs to be there so that we don't beat down the person's body with all this crazy volume every week in, week out. On Wednesday, we're doing a lot of playful skill work, and this is a nice day to sort of break up the heavy lifting early in the week with the higher volume later in the week. And so on Wednesday, we do our skill work, practicing things that require a little more coordination and timing, and then we also do a general physical preparedness WOD, a GPP WOD, that focuses on simpler movements done in sort of succession, like a circuit, in cardiovascular fashion. And that'll sort of plug our holes in terms of how our bodies are functioning and how muscles are being developed over time, so we don't have big imbalances in sort of basic human movement stuff. So on Thursday and Friday is where we do our volume-based work. So volume actually should accumulate over years, all right, not 12-week cycles, despite all the ridiculous programming crap you can buy out there and all the books that claim like every 12 weeks, like the volume is increasing week by week by week. Yeah, that's all BS. That's people who say that and do that in any real amount. They're not actually putting things into practice over years and years. They're just repeating what somebody else said. So people like myself have been actually experimenting and putting things into practice for 20 years. I can tell you that volume is super important over a long period of time. The way you get stronger over years is to gradually increase volume of poundage lifted, but it takes years. So on Thursdays and Fridays, we have lower percentages of work done for volume, right? So doing, like today was 80% of a back squat, and we're gonna end up doing a total of 21 reps across 14 minutes. So we're repeating in 3-week cycles the Thursday and Friday programming. So the reason we're repeating it is so you can, over a 3-week period, build your volume up in specific lifts a little bit, and then I'll change what those lifts are for another 3-week period of time. Those 3 weeks of repetition on Thursday and Friday actually allow you to have time for your muscles to adapt and grow larger and stronger in very small amounts, and then we'll flip it to something slightly different so that, again, we go through another 3-week adaptation phase. Your programming, no matter what your goals are, should not be constant variety, constant variation. That's ridiculous. If that's what any of you believe CrossFit is about, that is literally just doing work for work's sake. How could you possibly know if you're making improvements in things without regularly repeating those things? Likewise, so many people in the gym require constant feedback and coaching. How could they get better at things that they're not good at yet without having regular coaching and opportunities to practice, right? If I wanted to get better at dribbling a basketball, I can't do it once every 3 weeks. I got to do it really regularly and get feedback from someone who knows how to do it well. So on Thursdays and Fridays, we're repeating things in our strength portion because every 3 weeks I'm allowing for some adaptation to occur and a slight increase in volume during that 3-week period of time. Again, on Thursdays and Fridays, we have a short WOD, and that's again to work the anaerobic pathways and to keep our bodies sort of recovering over the course of a week workload. And then Saturdays, I made it so that we could do more partner stuff, and again, it would look more like, you know, our GPP stuff on Wednesday, longer WODs for building more aerobic endurance and muscular endurance, but it also implements an element of fun where you get to do things in teams or in partners. You know, Wednesday's fun is sort of playful skill practice. Saturday's fun is being able to do it with your friends and your teams to accomplish, you know, that longer endurance GPP kind of WOD. So to recap, Monday and Tuesday, that's where we're testing whether or not we are in fact getting stronger. Every 3 or 4 weeks we'll repeat a particular lift. Wednesdays and Saturdays, we're focusing on our general physical preparedness right now, building that aerobic endurance base and that muscular endurance base, and trying to sprinkle in some fun and skill practice as well. And then Thursdays and Fridays, we're focusing on generally building small amounts of volume over 3-week cycles so that we can see improvements in strength and muscle mass, so hypertrophy, over time. Because look, again, going back to the 85% of the gym that wants to look good naked, in order to do that, you got to build muscle, right? If you want to lose body fat, you got to build muscle. And if you want to build muscle, you also have to get stronger, right? So this is all the general plan, and it's all made in such a way that it applies well to the sport of CrossFit as well, all right? So any of you that are in that 10 to 15% that wants their performance goals as their priority, you really should be kind of jumping in on this stuff and on a regular basis, and then just having a little bit of side homework, all right? It's not the case that you're so special that you need to be doing only your own stuff, all right? That is a fallacy, and that is usually a fallacy of the ego, all right? So if there are any questions, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, and you can always hit me up on the cell phone as well. It's 443-742-1224. Till next time.